Welcome to the third episode of Total War Profiled, a series that looks into the historical inspiration behind Total War factions. This episode is for the Seleucid Empire. The Seleucid Empire was a Hellenistic empire from 312 BC to 63 BC. It emerged out of Alexander the Great's empire, after his death of course. Firstly, let's begin with the map. The map you can see on your screen right now was the Seleucid Empire during 270 BC. Then we have the Rome Total War map, which is not that bad. Firstly, they have cut the empire in half, but they didn't need it all in the game, which makes sense of course. The map represents the size of the Seleucid Empire, and it covers the majority of the areas that they occupied at the time. Some territories in modern Turkey have been cut, and part of the eastern side of the empire has been cut also in exchange for the faction Parthia, which is an entire faction video in itself. I don't even know why it's there, but anyway, just move on. The faction leader goes by the name Antiochus. Rome Total War begins in 270 BC, and there was an Antiochus I on the throne between 281 BC to 261 BC. He was known as Antiochus I Soter. Soter means saviour, or deliverer. Looking at it, I believe it might actually be pronounced Soter. I got no idea. Interestingly, Antiochus in-game carries the retinue called Heroic Saviour, which I believe is a reference to the Soter part of his name. However, Antiochus starts the game at 60 years old. Historically, he was 54 years old at the start date, 270 BC, and he will die at about 61 to 63 years old. As for his children, I could not find anything about them, except for Demetrius I, whose rule began 170 BC, at almost 100 years after the start date. There was also a Demetrius II of Macedon alive at the time, but I doubt it was inspired by either of these men. So yeah, just a fictional character there. Historically, Antiochus had two daughters, Apama and Stratonis, and one son, Antiochus II Theos. All the children are also fictional, to the best of my research. To be honest, out of all the factions I have looked into so far, this one in terms of family members was the most disappointing. There wasn't much here. Although I found some interesting features about their unit roster. The Seleucid Empire was a Hellenistic empire, and so the majority of the army would have been inspired by Alexander the Great. This is why we see so many phalanxes and companion cavalry. However, the Seleucid Empire adds a Roman-looking unit to their roster. A unit I have seen people complain about the historical accuracy of before, as it looks like a Hastati unit. Well, I can happily say those people are wrong. Ooh, the hairs on my hand just stood up as I said that. Alexander's army had the... oh god, here we go. Argyraspides. Argyraspides. Yeah, we'll go with that. Also known as the Silver Shields, as I'll call them throughout the rest of the video. They were the units originally known as Hypapists. Again, I am sorry about my pronunciation of most of these names. This unit was, of course, in Alexander Total War as a skirmisher unit, I believe, but they had their name change, along with their appearance as well, during Alexander's campaign into India. They looked like the Silver Shield units of the Seleucid Empire roster. This squad eventually broke up and stopped fighting. However, the Seleucid Empire adopted the name and the uniform of these troops many years later, so yes, they are accurate, which even surprised me. Their cataphracts, elephants and scythed chariots were inspired by the Persian Empire, as they held the majority of their former territories after Alexander's death, so it's only natural that they would use whatever resources they had available to them, such as the elephants and the chariots. Overall, their unit roster is very accurate, and possibly the most accurate and detailed of all the factions we have seen so far. The Seleucid Empire can build 3 temples or shrines, one to Hephaestus, Greek god of blacksmiths, which in game this temple improves the units. One to Dionysus, Greek god of winemaking, fertility. One to Dionysus, Greek god of winemaking. One to Dionysus. One to a god called Dinosaurus, Greek god of winemaking, fertility, and something called ritual madness. In game, this provides happiness. Okay, I don't really get that one, but whatever. What's ritual madness? And last but not least, one to the Greek god of healing, and in game it helps with sanitation, Asclepius. Overall, this provides a balanced mix for the Seleucid Empire. This is not an accurate point I'm going to make, but rather an opinion. I think these temples suit the faction well. In some areas you would have had great cities that have high levels of sanitation or public order, and in other settlements, such as frontline settlements, you would have had military settlements. So it does fit the diversity and how far spread the Seleucid Empire was. Just a little bit of everything in a way. Overall, I would say that this faction is accurate enough. Compared to the others we have in Rome Total War, I think it's quite good. But as for the family members, I was very disappointed there. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. These will be every Saturday, so subscribe for more. Next week's will be Byzantium in Medieval 2 Total War, and the week after will be decided by my tier 3 Patreons. So if you want to vote on the week after's historical video, become tier 3 Patreon and you'll be able to vote. Hope you enjoyed, hope to see you in the next video, and good.